Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, and verse 42. Samsthapayenam jagatam satastu tusham. Samsthapayenam jagatam satastu tusham. Lokaya patni masimattaram paita. Lokaya patnim asimataram pita. Vede machasye namasa sahatvaya. Vede machasye namasa sahatvaya. Yasyan svatejo gnimivaranavata. Yasyan svatejo gnimivaranavata. Samsthapayenam jagatam satastusham. Lokaya patni masimataram pita. Vedema chasye namasa sahatvaya Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavata. Prabhus. Lokaya patni masimataram pita Videma chasye namasa svahatvaya Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavata
Samsthapainam jagatam satastusam
Samsthapayenam jagatam satastusham
Lokaya padnim asimataram pita
Lokaya patni masimataram pita
Videma chasye namasa sahatvaya
Videma chasye namasa svahatvaya
Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavadaha
Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavata
Samsthapayenam jagatam satastusam Lokaya patnim asimataram pita
Lokaya patni masimataram pita
Videma chasye namasa sahatvaya Yasyam svatejo nimivaranam vada
Ladies? Samsthapayenam jagatam satastusham Lokaya patni masimataram pita Videma chasye namasa sahatvaya Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavata Samsthapayenam jagatam satastusham Lokaya patni masimataram pita Videma chasye namasa sahatvaya Yasyam svatejo nimivaranavata. Okay. Word for word. Samsthapaya enam. Raise this earth. Jagatam. Both the moving and Satastusham. Non-moving. Lokaya. For their residence. Patnim. Wife. Asi. You are. Mataram. The mother. Pita. The father. Vedema. Do we offer? Cha. Also. Asye. Unto the mother. Namasa. With all obeisances. Saha. Along with. Tvaya. With you. Yasyam. In whom. Svateja. By your own potency. Agnim. Fire. Iva. Likened. Arano. In the Arani wood. Adha. Invested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace H.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. Translation. O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood. Purport. The so-called law of gravitation which sustains the planets is described herein as the potency of the Lord. This potency is invested by the Lord in the way that an expert sacrificial brahmana puts fire in the arani wood by the potency of Vedic mantras. By this arrangement, the world becomes habitable for both the moving and non-moving creatures. The conditioned souls, who are residents of the material world, are put in the womb of Mother Earth in the same way the seed of a child is put by the father in the womb of the mother. This conception of the Lord and the earth as father and mother is explained in Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Conditioned souls are devoted to the motherland in which they take their birth, but they do not know their father. The mother is not independent in producing children. Similarly, material nature cannot produce living creatures unless in contact with the Supreme Father, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us to offer obeisances unto the mother along with the Father, the Supreme Lord, because it is the Father only who impregnates the mother with all energies for the sustenance and maintenance of all living beings, both moving and non-moving. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinubandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Gangamana Swami Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Kodasa Jitayata Swami. Thank you everyone for joining Srimad Bhagavatam class and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm just going to put a disclaimer. I am a bit sick, so my voice isn't as usual. But anyway, early on when I was learning how to share the Bhagavatam, my teacher at the time taught me that no matter what situation, no matter what the health condition, we should always be ready to glorify the Bhagavatam. So that's my endeavor here. Instead of going, I can't do this, I'm going to try and do it. So, where are we in the Srimad Bhagavatam? So, we're in Canto 3, where it's a conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. And in the previous chapter, what we discussed and heard is that Vidura and Maitreya Muni were talking about the creation of Brahma. How Brahma had created so many different living entities, so many different personalities, the four Kumaras, Shiva, and so many people, the sages. And his endeavor was to try and create personalities who would help progenate the universe. But none of them would do that. I mean, Shiva tried, but his progeny, instead of expanding the universe, started to destroy the universe. And then we hear about, at the start of this chapter, well, at the end of the last chapter, how Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa come from Brahma to help Brahma progenate the universe. And then at the start of this chapter, chapter 13, what we hear is that Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya Muni, tell me more about Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. Tell me about the activities because they're related to the Supreme Lord. And so what Maitreya Muni then starts doing is starts talking about how Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa came and they inquired from Brahma, what do you want us to do? And Brahma said, procreate. But then Swayambhuva Manu was looking around and going, well, if I'm going to procreate, I need somewhere to exist. I need some residence. And he's trying to find the earth to reside. But then what he finds is that the earth is not in its orbit. it's actually sinking into the Garbhodak ocean. So he goes to Brahma and goes like, okay, you want us to procreate, but where do we procreate? Where's our residence place? And so Brahma's contemplating, and as he's contemplating, a strange thumb-sized creature comes out of his nostril. And everybody's like, what is this? Is this a bird? Is this a plane? No, it's a boar. It's a Varahadev. And so they're all glorifying Varahadev, and as they glorify Varahadev, they see Varahadev dives into the ocean. It's described that as he dives into the ocean, he splits the ocean into two. And then just as boars, when they're trying to find food, when they're trying to find their family or their residence, they use their nose, they sniff around. And so using his nose, Varahadev was sniffing for Mother Earth. And then we hear about how using his tusks, he basically raises the earth out. But out of ecstasy, Maitreya Muni then starts amalgamating a second appearance of Varahadev. One appearance of Varahadev during Swayambhuva Manu's era, which is this one, where the Lord comes through the nostril of Brahma to save the earth which had fallen into the ocean. And the second incarnation of Vara is in the 6th Manvantara, where he is fighting Hiranyaksh. He incarnates to kill Hiranyaksh and save the earth also. And so we hear a bit about that. And then we hear how the sages of the higher planets are all glorifying the Supreme Lord in his Lord Varaha form. And the verse that we have today is one such glorification. So I'll just read the translation again. O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency. Just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood. And so we're at that stage of the Bhagavatam where Lord Vara is being described in different ways, in different verses, by the sages of the higher planetary systems. And in the verse, we see that Mother Earth is also present, very much glorified. We see in the world around us, Mother Earth, Mother Nature, is a big topic of protection, of care, of love. You see many businesses nowadays, they have this eco aspect of their culture, where they're about, protecting the environment, doing something for the earth. We see even so many people, they're all looking at, Mother Earth gives us so many things. Let us give back, let us protect the trees, let us plant trees, let us do so many things to protect the earth and rejuvenate the earth's life force. And we can understand why, because Mother Earth is the reason why we get nourished. Mother Earth is provides all the necessities of our life and existence. When we're inside the womb of our mother, then the mother provides through her body. Whatever she eats it ends up nourishing us just from being inside the womb. And when we come outside the womb, then the womb of Mother Earth is giving us the necessities that we need. So a very important factor of this service to Mother Earth. And we see how sometimes that focus on serving Mother Earth and protecting Mother Earth develops into an attachment to one's homeland. We start thinking that, I was born in this country, in this village, in this house. And we see sometimes people are so attached that they don't want to let go. They're like, no, I can't leave this house. My generations have been living in this house. How can I let go? Generations have been living in this village. I've lived in this village my whole life. How can I leave my people? So much attachment gets built up. And Prabhupada talks about how that attachment leads to the devotion to the motherland. And that's because many times people just feel that's all they know, that's all they care, that is their safe place and their comfortable place because they don't know anything else. They can't see beyond their motherland because that's all they've seen as safety or their comforts or their life. And Prabhupada says specifically in the purport, conditioned souls are devoted to the motherland in which they take birth, but they do not know their father. when we talk about motherland, when we talk about the mother, then naturally we understand there must be a father. If a child is born today in the hospital and the father isn't around, people don't go, oh, the mother gave birth to a child without a father being present. We know that the father's involvement was very much necessary, even if the father wasn't present in the hospital at the time of birth. If a child was born in such a way, then after a few years, what would they go? To their mother. They'd be asking, okay, who's my father? Because we understand intrinsically, where there's a mother, there has to be a father. And in the same way, when we question the parenthood of all living entities, then we see that, okay, we come from Mother Earth. Mother Earth means there must be a father. But who is that father? And in the Bhagavad Gita and in the purport, Srila calls out Bhagavad Gita 14.4. Sarva yonishu konteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahad yonir aham bija pradapita. Translation. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Krishna is saying in that verse that there is Mother Earth, but I, Krishna, am the Supreme Father. I am the progenitor, I'm the seed giver for which life comes into existence. And so Krishna is saying that there's this whole huge material universe, and so many different universes if we look at the picture in the back. So many different universes. And within those universes, there's different planetary systems, higher, middle, lower. Within those planetary systems, there's so many different elements, fire, earth, wind, ether, earth. And within all of those, Krishna's potency has been given in order to create life, to create the living entity. Without him, the living entity cannot be present on Mother Earth or in the material universe or even the spiritual universe. And we see how amazing this is because according to the living entity's desires and activities, they get a body perfectly suited to carry out those desires and burn off those karmic activities. So perfect. And not only does the Lord actually impregnate life into the universe, but we see that the Lord also injects his potency to sustain and maintain the living entities. In the purport, very much, Srila Prabhupada talks about the law of gravitation, right, in the very first line. The law of gravitation is so crucial to one's sustenance in life. If we go to the modern age discovery of gravity, the classic story, Newton sitting under an apple tree, contemplating, why does the moon not go off orbit? Why does it always just go around the earth? And then just then he sees that an apple falls. And then he's thinking, there must be a force that's pulling everything down. Imagine if that apple fell upwards. Where would we get food from? If all of our fruits and vegetables fell up instead of fell down, how would we eat? How do we sustain ourselves? If the water in the clouds rained upwards instead of raining down, where would we get water from? Where would we get water to drink from the rivers or to plow the fields and so all these things? It just wouldn't happen. And so when we look at the law of gravity, we see that not only does it sustain life for us on earth, we see that it also sustains the mere existence being possible. Again, modern science, when we talk about the orbit of the Earth or orbit of the planets, so perfect. Why does Mercury not crash into Venus, into Mars, into Jupiter? Why does Earth not crash into any of the planets? Because it's perfectly put in orbit. Statistically, very, very difficult to achieve. And then you look even further. The orbit of the Earth is such that living entities made of Earth can exist. Scientists say that if the Earth was even a few millimeters closer in the orbit, it would be too hot to sustain life. And if it was a few millimeters further away, then the planet would be so frozen that you couldn't sustain life. So how could it be so perfectly arranged that life can be sustained through the potency of the Lord? That can't be a statistical anomaly. There has to be an arrangement somewhere. And the mere fact that the Lord arranges so many things just for our existence and sustenance is a showcase of the Lord's love. Imagine you go to a house program, a devotee invites you, if you're fortunate enough to go to a house program. You turn up, and what do you have to do? They go, "Here you go, Bishal, here's the knife, here's the chopping board, here's the plants, here's the vegetables, chop everything, cook yourself, and we'll have a house program." The devotees arrange everything for us to just enjoy and be present in the house program. Because that's their love. They're arranging everything for us so that we can just come and enjoy as we please. Imagine the scale of the Lord then in the universe, where he's arranged not just the law of gravity, but he's arranged all these other potencies, all these other universal laws. He's arranged everything for us to come here, exist, and do as we please. We just have to come and, in quotes, enjoy. And as a devotee, when we see this potency of the Lord in different ways, a devotee who's tuned in, a devotee who has Shastra Chakshush, the vision of the scriptures, has no other business but to just be amazed at how the Lord arranges everything. When we look at material nature, when we look around us, see how everything is constructed. We'll go to different places, maybe even come to the Manor, and one of the first things people will see, oh my gosh, look at the architecture, it's so beautifully designed. But look at material nature, the mountains, the rivers, the glaciers. Look at how everything is so beautifully designed. A devotee can't help but just appreciate how the Lord has arranged everything and the love by which the Lord does that. Shri Radha Gokulananda, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Shri Gauranitai Ki. Because we know that all of this is just by the energy, the potency of the Lord that He's injected. Again from the Bhagavad Gita, verse 10.8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam bhudabhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. By seeing the greatness of the Lord, by seeing how much the Lord exhibits His love for us, the devotees just want to serve the Lord. Just give back. Just give back to the love that's been received. And imagine the extent of the Lord's love that, and I'm not getting into the controversy, but the fall of the jiva. At some point in time, we were in the spiritual world, happily enjoying our association with Krishna, and then we decided at one point, hey Krishna, I want to experience joy without you. Imagine the love Krishna must have for us to not only say, okay, but also create a universe, and within that universe, create different life forms for us to experience carrying out our desires absent of Krishna. It's one thing to say, I love you and you stay with me. But it's another thing to say, I love you, but you want to go away? Fine, you go away. Because that's tough. But that's also a showcase of Krishna's detachment. Imagine if everything he did, imagine if the material universe was created only for people to then continue experiencing a relationship with Krishna? Where would our desires be fulfilled, the desires that are not Krishna conscious? We wouldn't get to fulfill those. But not only does Krishna sustain the desires of the devotees, but he also sustains the desires of the non-believers. He sustains their life. It's not just that we're devotees and therefore we get food, shelter, water. But even the non-devotees get the exact same thing. Even the atheists who completely try and say God does not exist get their food, shelter, water. Imagine the love that the Lord must have to be able to do that. And to kick it up a notch, the Lord even sustains the atheistic philosophy. A philosophy where God has created a world which is so complete that it doesn't need God in the equation. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnamudashyate Purnameva Vashishyati Purnam. Okay, I don't remember the full verse anymore. Anyway, Isha. Purnameva Vashishyati. This idea that the Lord, Supreme Lord is perfect and complete. And beyond that, we see in that verse, it says that the Lord is complete and therefore whatever he emanates, whatever he creates, is also complete. Isn't the material world an emanation of Krishna's completeness? So the material world should also be complete. It cannot be incomplete. And so the material world is also perfectly complete, not just for one's material life, but also one's spiritual life. And not just for one who wants to endeavor in spirituality, but also for one who wants to say spirituality is just bogus. But even there, Krishna is required because Krishna is the source of Om Purnam. He is complete, which is why everything he creates is complete. We look at the whole creation is complete, but even within the creation we see so many things are complete. Look at the water cycle. Water starts off in the sea, the ocean, wherever you want to start. The sun evaporates the water, it goes into the clouds. The clouds at some point become so heavy and dense that it then rains onto the land, mountains, wherever. And then somehow the water comes back into the rivers and back into the ocean. Perfectly complete. There's no loss or diminution in the water cycle, apart from because of human intervention and all these other things. When you look at the engineering of the human body, a very easy one to understand, the female body. As a female girl, as a baby girl, there's no milk in the body. As a teenage girl, no milk in the body. As an adult girl, no milk in the body. As a pregnant girl, no milk in the body. But as soon as the child comes out of the womb, suddenly milk is ready and available in the body. So perfectly designed, no waste. The milk is ready when the milk is needed. How perfect is that creation? So we talk about how the Lord has impregnated the material universe to create the living entities. We talk about how the love of the Lord is such that the Lord has perfectly arranged everything in the universe by injecting his potency into the universe to sustain and maintain life for the living entity. But the Lord's love doesn't even stop there. Because the Lord could say, hey Bishal, you wanted to enjoy the material universe, the material creation. You wanted to enjoy life without me. I've created this universe for you. I've created everything for you, all the systems in place. I've created 8.4 million life forms for you to enjoy. When you're ready to come back to me, come to me and then we'll enjoy again. He could say that. But he does something else. He not only impregnates the universe for living entities to be created, he not only injects his potency, but he also enters the universe as the super soul to go on the journey with us. The love of the Lord is not based on how good a devotee we are. The love of the Lord is completely unconditional, because he goes, hey Bishal, you're going to hell? I'll join you in hell. You want to go to the heavenly planets? I'll join you in the heavenly planets. You want to be a devotee? I'll join you on the path of devotion. I'm not leaving you. Even when we're at our worst, the Lord does not leave us, because that is his love. We can think of parents, or we can think of parents, a child who wants to learn how to ride a bike, right? What does the child do? Papa, mommy, I want a bike. And so the parent goes, okay, I'll get you a bike. But then the parent realizes, hang on, this child doesn't know how to ride a bike, so let me get some training wheels. So right now, the child is learning with the two-wheeler bike with training wheels, making it a four-wheeler bike. And then as they learn, as they grow, then they develop, they mature in their way of riding the bike. At some point comes where we take the training wheels away and we're just, holding the child along on two wheels. And then a point in time comes where we go, okay, now you can ride a bike, you go, you do whatever you want on the bike. I'm going to be at home, I'll watch from afar or not even watch at all. You're allowed to ride the bike however you wish. But then inevitably what happens? At some point, the child still falls. Do we go, how could the parents allow the child to fall and do something that would hurt themselves? No, that's part of their growth to learn how to ride a bike, their maturity. In general, we see parent-children relationships. When the child is very young, is innocent, doesn't really know right from wrong, or doesn't really understand the world, parents' duties is provide everything. Provide them emotional, financial, care, stability, everything. But as the child matures, teenage years, what happens? You're old enough to now take care of a few things. Here's your responsibility. I'm not going to make your plate for you. You make your plate for yourself. I'm not going to do all these things for you. You do it yourself. You become independent and do your own thing. And as part of that, it's also teaching them the skills to handle life themselves, because life means there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to fall. You will inevitably fall over. But because you've been taught the skills on how to lift yourself up, you're not dependent on your parents, on your friends, on your family or anything. Because as you mature, you start learning to handle yourself. In the same way, when we look at the universe, sometimes people will look at the universe and go, okay, if there is a God, then why do bad things happen to good people? Why is there suffering in the world? Why are all these things? Why would God create a world which is full of so many opportunities and options to fall over and hurt yourself? Isn't the loving thing to do to just hold you and protect you and take you on the path and, make sure that you grow in the way that you need to grow? But is that love or is that control? Because if you don't allow the person to experience the desires the way they want, to fall over, but then also, provided you've given them the skills to lift themselves up again, provided you've provided the facilities, or if I use the terms of Krishna, invested the potency in them for them to be able to lift themselves up, then isn't that them being self-sufficient and then choosing to come to you? So when we look at the Supreme Lord's love, we see that he not only gives us life in the material universe because we desire it. He not only invests his potencies for us to live life here, he invests potencies for us to also come to this realization that at some point, experiencing our desires here is not worth it. Let us transcend it. But he also goes on that journey with us and doesn't wait for us to come on the path of devotion for him to stay with us. All it is that, just like we heard the analogy from the Vedic scriptures, two birds on a tree. One bird is busy eating the fruits of the tree. Sometimes it's bitter, sometimes it's sweet. Sometimes it's sour, sometimes it's raw. We, as that bird, are just busy chewing and eating and tasting the different fruits. But the other bird is just waiting for us to turn to him. He's still going everywhere. He's waiting for us. We're on branch 1. He's on branch 1. We decide we want to taste the fruits on branch 3 levels higher. He's going to join us there. We want to taste the fruits on the lowest branch. He'll join us there. He's just waiting for us to turn to him. And when we turn to him, I have to use this because we just exited Kartik. The Lord then goes, okay, I've given you all the facilities to enjoy the fruits, but now you finally turn to me. I will myself, with my internal potency, with my own internal energies, invest in your journey, help you on that journey to run after me like Mother Yashoda had to run after me, to bind me. And so when we look at this verse and these prayers, what we can see is that the Lord is full of so much love for the living entity that, again, if I just go back to the translation of the verse, He's, for the purpose of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife and you are the Supreme Father. The Lord has impregnated the earth for the living entity to experience life here, according to their desires. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood. He's also invested the potency for us to sustain our life here. But even beyond that verse, and glorified in other verses, the Lord also enters the universe to go on that journey of love with us. And so end there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions, comments, corrections?
Hi, Christopher Wu. Thank you. Hi, Bol. So, yeah, that's one subject matter that I always feel inclined to comment on. You talk about Mother Nature. I don't know much about many things, but I know she's she's got a pulse, a heartbeat, Mother Nature. Okay, so it's interesting here that she is considered mother and the Supreme Lord is the father. And I just wonder if devotees should remember Mother Earth more often. At the moment, she's considered a little bit oppressed, and we can see that she's not happy with all this stuff going on, the intensity of what's going on, especially weather globally. I was watching in horror, disbelief, of my hometown, in Jamaica. I didn't take birth there, but I lived there. How this system was ravaging that place. Nothing was spared. So, and this is Paradise Island. It's a beautiful place. But then, the flip side, nature can punish us in a way which I don't understand. Destroy. The whole ecosystem is gone. And land being displaced and people are displaced and all these things. So, what do you make of that? Sorry to place this one on you, Prabhu.
So if I'm hearing, there's two parts to the question. One is, should devotees place more emphasis on taking care of Mother Nature?
And remembering her in praise as well.
In praise.
Yeah.
And the second part is, why does Mother Nature punish us?
The intensity, yes.
The intensity.
What's going on?
So it's interesting. So there's different ways to milk a cow makes sense, but let's just go with the traditional one, which is different ways to slice a cake. On one angle, you can see that as devotees, we actually place a huge emphasis on Mother Nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, throughout, there's so many verses talking about Mother Nature in terms of material elements, it's all his energy, etc., etc. And what do we do with Krishna's energy? As a devotee, if we're pure, we engage every single thing in our life in Krishna's service. And isn't that the most ecstatic thing for Mother Bhumi? In this pastime, we see that Bhumi Devi was picked up by Lord Varaya on his tusks. Imagine the ecstasy Bhumi Devi would have felt by being in touch with Krishna. And as a devotee is walking around, again, pure devotion, is walking around on Mother Earth, everywhere. I can't remember which section of Bhagavatam this is, but it comes up. I think it's Priyavata Maharaj when he's chasing Bhumi Devi around, I think. It comes where, actually, in one of the purports, I think Srila Prabhupada talks about how Bhumi Devi is always ecstatic wherever a devotee goes or where the Lord is glorified. So as devotees, we generally place an emphasis on Bhumi Devi. But the way we place emphasis is, as Prabhupada says in this purport, remember the Supreme Father along with the Mother. By always chanting Krishna's glories wherever we go, the Mother, Bhumi Devi, is always going to be nourished and happy. Prabhupada will travel around in airplanes and everything, which is like creating so much, in modern day context, so much inconvenience for Mother Earth. But because he's doing it to propagate Krishna consciousness, the earth is actually being rejuvenated in health. Then the other angle to see it is that when we look at the yugas, then we see there was a big emphasis placed on sacrifices. And we see in the Govardhan Puja, a sacrifice was being performed to Indra in order to sustain the rains and, the weather and things like that. And part of those sacrifices is also worshipping and glorifying Bhumi Devi. The sacrifices are there to sustain the way the life works and exists. But equally, we see that, again, when we come to the spiritual path, more than focusing on the rituals devoid of Krishna, we focus on the rituals that include and glorify Krishna, because again, Supreme Father is there. Then we look at the intensity and we see that as Kali Yuga progresses, and we see in the Hiranyaksha pastime, because Hiranyaksha was so demoniac that he was constantly causing anxiety for Mother Earth, what happened is that Mother Earth went off its orbit. And as a result, it was starting to sink in the Garbhodak Ocean. So as we offend Mother Earth, atrocities and reactions are going to happen. And we know Kali Yuga is progressing to become more and more demoniac. So the reactions that we receive from Mother Earth are bound to increase also. So just some thoughts. I'm sure they spark more questions and thoughts. But, maybe one over breakfast. Any other questions, comments? No? Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Shuprapad ki. Vanchakalpatrupishra kripa sindhave vacha patitanam pavanabhyo vaishnav ki.